everyone, welcome back to episode 16. Taehyung's POV. I couldn't sit still as I waited, the silence of the room suddenly feeling too loud. Why do I always give in to him? Why was it so damn hard to say no? The soft knock on the door came minutes later. I opened it cautiously, and there he was, standing in the dim hallway light. His suit was slightly rumpled, his tie loosened around his neck. He looked unfairly good. They come in, I whispered, stepping aside to let him in. Jungkook closed the door behind him, his eyes locked onto mine. JK, you look like you have been overthinking again, he teased lightly. They wonder why that is. I murmured, crossing my arms in my attempt to keep some distance. He glanced quietly and stepped closer. JK, Taehyung, why do you always have to overcomplicate things? Because they are complicated. I shot back, though my voice lacked the conviction I wanted. He was too close now, his colon wrapping around me and making it hard to think straight. JK, do you want me to leave? He asked, his voice low, almost vulnerable. I opened my mouth to say yes, but the word couldn't come out. Did I want him to leave? No, I didn't. But admitting that felt like giving up on every logical thought I had. Jungkook must have seen my hesitation because he stepped even closer. JK, I'm not leaving. We made a deal. They won't be here, I whispered, but my gaze betrayed me, tracking the sharp lines of his jaw, the way his suit clung to his broad shoulder. He looked delicious. I hated that. JK, Taehyung, stop fighting this. I didn't know if he meant him being in my room or my own conflicted feelings. Probably both. I'm not fighting anything, I answered, but it sounds weak even to me. JK, you are, he said, taking another step closer until there was barely any space between us. JK, you keep pushing me away, acting like this is wrong, but it's not. He reached out his hand, brushing my cheek, and I closed my eyes. JK, you missed me too, didn't you? He murmured, his lips were so close to my ear I could feel the warmth of his breath. JK, don't you want this? Don't you want me? His hand balled into fist at my side, every fiber of my being screaming at me to push him away, to let him to leave, but instead I found myself whimpering. Jungkook, JK, yes, we should stop this. JK, I don't think so. He contoured his hand, sliding to the back of my neck. JK, you want this? You want me? I was trapped between the logical part of me screaming that this was a terrible idea and a part of that was screaming louder, letting me in. Maybe after this, I murmured, already hating myself for relenting. I keep telling myself just this time, but I can't seem to end it. His smile turned victorious as his lips captured mine in a kiss so consuming it left me breathless. My knees bucked, and I grabbed onto his shoulder to support, clenching at the fabric of his suits as I can. When he pulled back, his eyes struck an end with some raw and primal. JK, on your knees? Taehyung, he murmured, his voice thick with desire. I froze, my breath hinges as his words sank in. The tension between us was electrical, and despite every voice in my head screaming that "Get on your knees," he said, and it wasn't a suggestion. He looked powerful and commanding in his suit, and I felt drawn to his control. My knees felt the hit the floor almost on their own. I didn't know what I was doing, but the way Jungkook looked at me made it impossible to refuse, and noticeable need was visible through his pants. I looked up and met his beseeching gaze as Jungkook nodded encouragingly. I licked my lips, then I began to his lap. My fingers slipped inside, encouraging the firm pressure on his knee against a ragged breath escaped Jungkook as my fingers brushed against him. I lowered the officers, exposing him fully. It was the closest I have ever seen him. An unfamiliar excitement surged through me. Holding Jungkook felt both and strangely so. My hands closed around him, his skin against mine. "JK, do it," Jungkook commanded, his voice low and urgent. I opened, welcoming him, his fingers digging into my hair. He did it. Ha! Freak, this was too good. It was my first time doing this, yet I found myself strangely drawn to it. His cry, the way his hand tightened around my head, the way he owned me. It felt like Jungkook needed me, depended on me. The room was filled with the weight, rhythmic sound of my efforts, accompanied by Jungkook's cry that strangely excited me further. "JK, that's it, Taehyung," he murmured, his voice rough, red, and joyful. "JK, keep going," hearing the need in his voice, knowing I was the one driving Jungkook wild, gave me an unexpected sense of satisfaction. I wasn't good at this, not yet, but the way he is taking me, my name made me want to be determined, and I was going on my all. Jungkook relaxed and gave me a good time, and I take it all. My cheeks burned as I met Jungkook's gaze, his eyes hooded with satisfaction. Without hesitation, Jungkook pulled me to my feet, kissing me, his hand cradling my face like I was something precious. His mouth tasted like him, something delicious, forbidden. "JK, now let's take care of you," he murmured, leading me to the bed. I didn't even realize I was myself while making him feel good. Jungkook grabbed his arm around me, and God, it felt good. I cried louder. "Jungkook, for someone who is usually so careful, are you trying to wake the entire household?" He scolded as he quickly covered my mouth with his other hand. Jungkook whispered softly words against my temple, pressing a tender kiss to my forehead. "Jungkook," I began, my voice trembling. I didn't know how to put into words and confusion the fear and the magnetic pull I felt whenever Jungkook was near. Jungkook tilted his head and his gaze steady as he looked down at me, waiting, but I had nothing, no clever remark, no excuses, just this unspoken feeling of things falling apart. Still, I pushed it aside and closed my eyes. Was raw, new, and overwhelming. Exhausted, we lie tangling together on the bed. I had never felt so utterly spent, so completely consumed. The last thing I heard before drifting off was Jungkook's soft, cheeky good night. I woke up to missed his paw, his smashing my face. Thinking groggily, I realized I had just the most satisfying sleep in my life. My body felt weightless, my mind clear in a way I couldn't remember feeling in years. Jungkook's warmth pressed against my back, his hand slung around me in a loose and embarrassing. Closed my eyes again, wanting to savor the moment a little longer, but Misty had another plan pawing at me instantly. That's when the realization hit me. I was slept. Began to panic. I bolted upright and glanced at the clock. 10:08. I was definitely late. The Jungkook I hissed, slapping his arm. He woke up, startled, blinking sleepily at me with that annoyingly handsome look that should have been illegal this early in the day. You need to leave, I whispered gently, particularly shoving him off the bed. Jungkook groaned, clearly not in the same rush I was. As he sat up, I noticed he was wearing my pants. It was definitely not made for his larger figure. They clung to him in the way I couldn't help but notice, and my loosened sleepwear now looked downright scandalous on him. My shirt was crumpled on the beside table, and judging by its untouched state, he must have given up trying to squeeze into it and adopt to stay topless. The Jungkook I hissed again, my voice sharper this time. They get dressed and get out quickly gathered his scattered belongings, shoving them onto his arm as he tried to piece together his outfit. Peeking out onto the hallway, I scanned for the sign of life. The coast was clear for now. Taekook, I urged, practically dragging him to the door. He barely made it a step into the hallway when Jin's voice cut through the morning stillness. Jin, good morning, Jungkook. Sick. Rose, my heart dropped to the floor. Jungkook, however, didn't even care at him. He turned to her with a 10-mark grin, completely unfazed. JK, morning, Jin. The stillness in his voice almost made me believe he wasn't sneaking out of my room in those too tight pants. With no shirts on, meanwhile, I was ready to die on the spot. Jin's gaze lingered for a moment, and I could have sworn I saw the corner of her lips. As soon as the couch was clear, I slammed the door shut and leaned against it, my heart still racing. The sheets on the bed was mess, still warm from where Jungkook had been. I couldn't decide if I wanted to laugh, scream, or crawl back under the cover and pretend none of this had happened. That's all my fault. I let my guard down and gave in to my desire. Now the secret, we sure it to protect isn't a secret anymore. Time escape. I took a moment to calm myself before quickly showering and getting dressed in my work clothes with my composure firmly in place. I walked into the kitchen determined not to give Jenny anything more to speculate about. The good morning, Jenny. I greeted her, doing my best to sound casual. She glanced up from slicing a fruit with a teasing it's been okay, I replied, keeping my tone natural as I reached for the kettle. Jinny, I was just about to check on you. Actually, I was worried you had overslept. She said, raising an eyebrow. Jin, did I interrupt something earlier? I froze, my hand hovering over a mug. Of course, she wanted answer. I could tell she was itching to know the reason why Jungkook was in my room wearing my pants and nothing else on top. They, not really, I said, forcing a shrug. They, but Jenny, I need a favor. Her curious expression became more attentive. Jane, of course, what kind of favor? They, can you promise me you wouldn't mention this to anyone? I said, avoiding her gaze. The last thing I wanted was for her to start digging. The more questions she asked, the closer she would get to the truth. It was better to leave it. At least leave more room for doubt. My stomach tightened. What is it? Jen, yes or no? She said vaguely, but her eyes shows a hint of amusement. Yes. I replied cautiously, not really sure what I would just agree to. Her face light up like I would just confirm something she would have suspected for a long time. Jane, I knew it. She almost screamed in glee. Jane, don't worry, Thay. My face burned with thought. God, what was she thinking? Knowing Jinny, she probably assumed the most ridiculous scenario, and probably she wasn't wrong. Thank you, I said stiffly, wishing the ground would swallow me whole. Help her finish preparing breakfast, trying to act normal despite the lingering embarrassment. When the food was ready, I carried the dishes into the dining room where the and family was already seated. Jungkook sat at the table, dressed sharply in work suit, looking very professional. No one would suspect he would spend the night in my room engaging in something scandalous. After serving plates, moving from one family member to next, when I reached Jungkook, I leaned slightly to place the omelette on his plate. As I did, I felt his hand slide up and down my back in a way that was far from casual. Startled, I jumped, making a noise somewhere between a scream and a yelp. All eyes turned to me. Mrs. Jeon, are you alright, Taehyung? Mrs. Jeon asked, her face marked with concern. Yes, ma'am, I said quickly, searching for an excuse. It's nothing, just felt like an insect brushed against me. JK sounds like a pretty big insect to make you make that sound. Jungkook teased, his lips tinged with amusement as I stomped my foot under the table. Jungkook barely flinched, but at least he stopped whatever game he was playing. Mrs. Jian, are you sure there is nothing wrong with your back? Mrs. Jian asked, clearly unconvinced. Yes, you mentioned before that you slipped on the snow. You should have that checked. No, no, really, that's fine, I assured her, fighting. Acting innocent thanked me for the omelette and began eating. I forced myself to focus on the task, pretending I wasn't bawling in anger. Later, as I was putting away the washed dishes, my phone buzzed in my pocket. It was Jungkook, of course. Jungkook, I'm really sorry I had to do that. You looked irritable this morning. I rolled my eyes, tapping back quickly. You're lucky I didn't bump that omelette on your lap. His response came almost instantly. Jungkook, what? For appreciating you. You are overreacting, Taehyung. Overreacting? You practically grabbed me in front of your parents. I gained fighting the urge to turn off my phone. A few moments later, another message came through. Jungkook, I couldn't help myself. You are lucky I didn't have a knife with me. I would have cut your hand. Jungkook, sorry, I will behave. Please don't be mad. If you keep this up, you are done. We are done. I mean it. Jungkook, okay, I will stop, but I really am sorry. Later that afternoon, a delivery arrived addressed to me. The delivery guy handed a package. I hadn't expected anything today, so I opened it out of curiosity. Inside was a beautiful arranged bouquet of flowers. Tucked into the stem was a small card with just two words written it in Jungkook's familiar handwriting. I'm sorry, I stared at the card for a long moment. My irritation starting to wane. The gesture felt cheesy, like something straight out of a romance novel, but the worst part was that it worked. I recurrently smile started to form at my lips. Phone buzzed again. Jungkook, did you get my gift? It was unnecessary. Jungkook, did it work? I hesitated before tapping back. Maybe. His response was a single word, just it was enough to affect me. Jungkook could. I couldn't. I could almost picture him saying that with the devilious in of his. I shook my head, fighting back a giggle. Dan Jungkook, he knows how to get under my skin, but somehow he also knows how to make me smile. And there is not much episodes left in the end of the story. Maybe 3 to 4 episodes, and this story will be end. I hope you will enjoy it. Thanks a lot for loving it. Bye.